Hello, everybody. Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Big 12 podcast. Today, it is February 21st, 2022, and our show is brought to you by our friends at BetOnline and betonline.net. Best place on the web right now to get in on all of your favorite sports action. Go check them out at BetOnline and betonline.net today. On the show, a few items. Number one, college football playoff expansion was shot down, at least in the near future, on Friday. We'll give some thoughts on that. We've got a weekend full of Big 12 hoops to unpack. And also, is Mark Adams not just the Big 12 Coach of the Year, but should he be the National Coach of the Year? We talk about that and more coming up on today's show.
Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Big 12 podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube and give us a thumbs up. Download the podcast. If you guys can't watch on YouTube, make sure you guys tell your friends as well. You can follow me on Twitter at @JoshNeighbors_. You can follow the show at LO Big 12. All right, our first of several topics coming up today is CFP expansion is on hold for now. I'll read from Heather Dinich here of ESPN. This came out on Friday. She says after months of lengthy debates and multiple meetings about expansion, the college football playoff will remain at 4 teams through the end of its current 12-year contract, which expires following the 2025 season. The College Football Playoff Executive Director Bill Hancock announced this on Friday by choosing to remain at 4 teams for 4 years, 4 more years, I should say. The 10 FBS conferences and Notre Dame have forfeited roughly $450 million in potential revenue. Now, there's a whole lot more to get to here, but there was a vote taken. It was 8 in favor of, 3 against. The 3 against were the ACC, the Big Ten, the Pac12. Those 3 schools, or as they've been known jokingly or seriously, the handshake agreement among men, as George Kliavkoff once called it, the Alliance are those 3 schools. After seemingly just attempting to torpedo the Alliance, Gene Smith last week, of Ohio State fame, he said, we're not really sure about the number of conference games that we want to play. Everybody kind of seemed like it was trending towards, the 9, the 8, I forget which one they wanted to switch to. He was against it. There's been a lot of talk about the Alliance, and this kind of puts just some more, they seem to be together on this, but this is not really helping the members there. As Heather Dinich just laid it out, $450 million of potential revenue, because here's the thing. The bottom line is this when it comes to college football playoff expansion. We can see, and I like Barrett. I work with Barrett Salee. There are guys out there like Barrett Salee who say, good, we should stay at 4, maybe even go back to 2. There aren't enough deserving teams out there. This isn't about that. This is about growing the sport. This is about making the sport more accessible, or at least making the playoff more accessible to more teams. It's the one thing that we actually love about college basketball. It's the one thing that allowed Butler to make consecutive national championship games, little old Butler in Indianapolis, and eventually paved the way for them to join the Big East. It's what allowed my parents' alma mater, the VCU Rams, to get into the tournament and eventually, make the Final Four. It's what allowed a 16 seed in UMBC to go take out the number 1 seeded Virginia Cavaliers. That's what we love about college hoops. That's what makes it great. The accessibility, the access to 16s beat 1 all the time. No, they do not. Have they before? Yes, they have. Recently, they have. So kind of being able to expand access, to give more opportunities, to put dogs in the fight, to allow Cincinnati to play Alabama. You say, Josh, we get that now, but it took way too long to get there. It took too much time for them to get the respect. It took a 2-year process, in my opinion, to get there. more access for more teams is a bottom line here. It's more money for all of us. And it gets mentioned here, it's more money to spend on student athletes, on their health and wellness and better facilities and all these kinds of things. It allows us to kind of expand the purview of college football. And it's not going to happen until at least 2026. They're going to run out the rest of this contract until 2025. It's going to happen. There is way too much money on the table for it not to happen. This contract that they're going to sign is going to be in the billions of dollars for the next round of college football playoff expansion. It would be malpractice for all parties involved not to sign it, especially now with name, image, and likeness opportunities for the athletes. It feels less like exploitation and more like further opportunities for these athletes to get their names in the bright lights, to get their names out there. We all win. The fans win. I think we win because also I've mentioned this a bunch, but I think recruiting is that more teams will be able to say, hey, look, our school can, our school did, our school will make the college football playoff. If you go, and this is a big talking point right here, I want to hit on the automatic qualifiers. I am a big believer in the automatic qualifiers. I think there is no doubt in my mind that we should have the AQs. I know Mike Oresco had said, well, privilege just for privilege's sake, I believe was the quote. Well, at a certain point, when there is a power five and there is a clear power five at this point in time, those schools have earned the right to kind of put themselves in that position. When they make a lot of the money, when they have the top schools in the sport, they should have automatic qualifiers. I've got no problem against that. Actually, if you guys saw my video on college football playoff expansion where I made my proposal, I was for 7 AQs. I was fine with 7 AQs. I thought that actually expanded that purview I was talking about even further. I thought that got more schools, more automatic opportunities to get themselves into the playoff. It allows the coastal Carolinas, the Louisiana Lafayette, or now they call themselves Louisiana. It allows those schools, Boise, to have straight up opportunities. It's definitely going to get a school in from the American, even after the Big 12 takes those three schools to the American and BYU. Still, I am for expanded opportunity. Here's the thing. Sure, the results in the end might be the same. We talked about this a bunch. It's not about that. Right now, it is about expanding opportunities to eventually, maybe down the line, make the sport more competitive, especially with NIL. Now you're seeing the war chests of the top schools expand. I think more opportunities, at the worst, it does nothing. At the worst, it will not make the competitive imbalance is already so pronounced that I don't know how an expanded college football playoff could somehow further it. At best, it helps. At worst, it does nothing. But that's fine if it does nothing. That's at least we tried, right? We're trying to give more teams opportunities so we don't see the same helmets there every year. It was refreshing this season. I think we all thought to see a blue blood in Michigan return. It was refreshing to see a new team in Cincinnati. It was refreshing to see Oklahoma State and Baylor with an opportunity potentially on the final day to go. If you expand the current playoff, well, we're not just talking about an opportunity. We're talking about almost a definite. We are talking about a definite situation in which Baylor would get in, a most likely situation in which Oklahoma State would get in. Now, I know Ole Miss is in the SEC, but think about it this way. Look, that's not a school that's always there. They're not, this was the second 10-win season in school history, whatever it was, the first in the regular season they've ever had. I know it's a bluer blood, but that's still more opportunity for more teams that we don't see that often. Utah, with their amazing run, would have put themselves in it. That would have been a first-time case as well. So you're seeing all these first-time opportunities that we would have handed out. Pitt would have gotten themselves in. Michigan State was right there knocking on the door. They would have probably found themselves in a college football playoff. when you think about the number of teams that would have their first crack, their first opportunity, it is pretty immense to think about the to kind of just the number of cool schools that we get to see. I know it sounds like a weird thing to say, like, cool schools, but like a number of different opportunities that we would have handed out. Sure, would the championship game maybe have been the same? Yeah, but eventually at some point in time, somebody is going to catch somebody on an off day, and it's going to happen. Also, I think the month between games, if we can eliminate that with 12-team playoff, that would be great too. It would give for more competition. Kind of continuing down on this path. So I'm for the AQs. My big point with all of the AQs and all those things is to say, if we're forfeiting nearly $500 million, half a billion dollars in revenue, and our issue is automatic qualifiers, like, we got to figure this out. There's got to be a way we can sit down in the room and figure out these opportunities. I actually thought Mike Oresco, the AAC commissioner, made a great point. He talked about how the ACC commissioner, Jim Phillips, talked about all these greater issues in college football that we have to solve first. He made the point of saying, look, we're not going to solve these in a short period of time. Expansion or no expansion, those issues will persist. So you might as well expand the playoff and try to fix those issues at the same time. Now, there is some thought that Jim Phillips wants Notre Dame to join them in the conference in the college football playoff before they expand. They think if they go to 12, Notre Dame has really no reason at that point in time to join a conference because they're going to be included in not the AQs, but the at-large. They'll get favorable looks, I guess you could say, any kind of college football playoff committee because their name and the pressure to join football conference will be completely gone. That is one idea that's there. That's kind of one of the beliefs I think Jim Phillips has, but that other stuff, I think Mike Oresco is right when he says all those other things that Jim Phillips was complaining about, we're not going to fix those overnight. So there's really no reason for you to be hammering about it because we can expand the playoff and then also try to fix those things at the same time. The Pac-12 is a big issue. And look, I understand this. I understand tradition. I understand college football is all about tradition. I understand. I've been working a lot recently on Pac-12 radio on Sirius XM. The Rose Bowl, the positioning of it when it happens, the pageantry around it is very important to the identity of the Pac-12. It's very important to the people involved. And yes, that is something that we have to give up. But to me, the opportunities that are surrounding a expanded college football playoff are too great to be holding on to things like that. We got to get ourselves in the 21st century. I think there are ways to play this game to make it a beautiful sunset in Pasadena sometime in December/January. It just might not be January 1st, which is when they want it all the time. I know that's so important to them, but I think that is something that we have to consider is that, hey, you might not get the day that you want. And I think that's something that we have to think about. We are all going to have to make some kind of sacrifices here, but it's going to end up being for the greater good. There are issues about 8 to 12. I think 12 is the right number. I think just at least for right now, it's the right number. We can assess, we can sit back and look at it once we get there. But the fact they couldn't come together and get a deal. Look, I cover baseball. It's really frustrating to me right now, very frustrating to me right now that we have to deal with baseball also. As somebody who covers Washington Nationals, I would love for us to get a damn move on and get ourselves a deal done there. It's great to see Diamond Sports return for college this weekend. By God, baseball, get your act together and get ourselves back out on the field. I know a lot of you guys in Big 12 and SEC country especially, we love our baseball. We love our Diamond Sports. It's painful right now to see baseball not operating on the way it should. So they should get themselves together. But it's frustrating, I think, for some sports fans right now at the intersection of baseball and college football to see the two power structures not be able to hammer something out, to get something done, to get us expanded, to get us our sport on the move in the right direction, give us the DH in both leagues, give us the expanded playoff in college football. These are things that we need to have to keep the sport moving in the right direction. So college football playoff on hold. We'll talk more about this on Wednesday. So kind of put this idea, take it in your back pockets when we get to our to our group, our Big 12 roundtable on Wednesday. We'll have this conversation once again and talk about the college football playoff and what can be done to expand it and kind of what it means for college football at large. But right now the news is we're going to stay at 4 for at least the next couple of years. Not the worst thing in the world. It's not like the world's ending. But come on, we could have gotten this thing done. We should have gotten this thing done. It's upsetting we did not get this thing done. All right, quick word from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by betonline.net. You guys can go to BetOnline today. Check out the extensive list of odds, scores, news, pods. They got it all there at betonline.net. You guys want to bet on college hoops? Got some Big 12 games tonight that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. You guys can get in the action there today. They got UFC. They've got boxing. They've got NASCAR. Anything you can want. Formula One here. They're going to tune up the band here pretty soon. Get themselves going. So check that out today. BetOnline and betonline.net. All right, let's get to Saturday's Big 12 basketball results. I've got the question posted there. Is Mark Adams the national coach of the year? This is something we're going to hit on big time more tomorrow. But the result that yields this conversation, Texas Tech, 61, Texas, 55. I thought this was a game that Texas was going to go win, especially at home. They've been so good at the Irwin Center. But Mark Adams Collective, those boys from Texas Tech came down there, went to Austin. Still struggling with the COVID, clearly trying to clear it out of my lungs. They go to Austin and they get the win in an ugly fist fight that was, as Fran Fraschilla described it, hand-to-hand combat. That's what we saw for the duration of this game. It was compelling. It was on ABC. The crowd was 50-50. Fran said it felt like a Big 12 semifinal, a Big 12 championship game. It did. It had all the trappings of a heavyweight fight. Both these teams shot like shit. That's the big story here is the defenses. Both these teams, I believe, were top 20 in Ken Palm's adjusted defensive efficiency. Texas Tech is top 3. Texas Tech has a defense that can win them the Big 12. It can win them the regular season Big 12, which they probably won't get because Kansas is ahead. It can win them the Big 12 tournament. It can win them the NCAA tournament. This team can win a national championship. There is no more doubts. Will they? I don't know. Can they? Yes. This is not the team that played Gonzaga the first go-around. This team, without Kevin McCullough, was equipped to get it done. They had big games across the board from guys like Bryson Williams, Clarence Nadolny off the bench, who has had a really difficult time shooting, especially from 3, gives them 14 points. The defense was excellent. TJ Shannon struggled from the field in this game, but still I thought he gave them a really good lift. They had it all together. Adonis Arms, who I think Fran Fraschilla, that's got to be Fran's favorite player, is Adonis Arms. He just loves talking about this kid and what he brings. Texas Tech shoots under 37% from the floor. They're 3-14 from 3. They got to the line 29 times, and it only made 20 of them, but they get 20 points from the free throw line. They did a good job attacking the rim, and their defense was fantastic. It's that no-middle defense. Texas, I thought, hit some really difficult shots, but that's what you have to do against teams that play, defenses that are like pack line or no middle. They force a lot of times either like you have to get them off rebounds or they're going to hit some tough jumpers. I know every defense wish you could hit tough jumpers, but these teams, by the way they defend, actually make you like select difficult shots. Texas Tech's length is that makes you hit tough shots. Now, Texas has some tough shot makers. I thought Andrew Jones hit some tough ones. I thought Courtney Ramey hit a couple tough ones. But on the end of the day, those guys end up going 9 for 28. So while they were combined, Marcus Carr goes 0 for 6. Christian Bishop goes 0 for 5. Jace Febres 3 for 9. They make you take tough shots. They make you make tough shots. Now, Texas played really good defense as well, but just down the stretch, Texas Tech was hitting more big shots, and they were able to create them more. Texas Tech's defense is just a little bit better than Texas is. And I thought this game of tough shot making was a little bit better than Texas's was. What an environment, though. What a poster for Big 12 basketball. You sit back and you watch and you saw what happened there in Austin on Saturday, and you realize this is what makes this the best conference in America. The rivalry between these two schools is just come out, it's not come out of nowhere, but I mean, Chris Beard leaving is fresh, and this is red hot, must see TV. Both times it was red hot, must see TV. I think these two teams need to match up once again in Kansas City. I want to see in Kansas City. It's going to be a majority Tech fans there. I'd love to see Chris Beard maybe try to get the monkey off of his back of beating Texas Tech. Or what if this becomes a thing? What if this becomes Chris Beard can't beat his old school? The narrative possibilities here seem to be endless. They've already been fantastic. The return was beautiful. It was bonkers. It was bananas from a fan perspective. Then this game with the promo code being out there, the friends and family, it being damn near 50-50 in Texas's building was fantastic. It was theater. It was beautiful. It was on ABC too. It was on ABC. It was awesome to see our league take center stage. Texas, still a really good team. Texas Tech, potentially a great team. And I think that's the story here is, boy, the potential is limitless. And also, they didn't even have their best player, in my opinion, best player in. I think Bryson Williams might be starting to make that argument. One thing I want to note about this, which is super interesting, another angle to this, is that Chris Beard's teams look like actually Mark Adams' teams. A lot of transfers, a lot of guys from all over the place. But damn it, you will play defense. The non-negotiables on Texas Tech are you going to put those arms out, you're going to sit your ass down, you are going to play defense, and all of those guys have. And Steve Prohm was talking about this on Field of 68. He coaches his guys hard, but the line stops, the line's drawn, the guys play hard for him, they know what they're doing, and that's the exciting part to me about watching Texas Tech is just they're so well coached. They're such a machine. And it lends itself to this conversation here. Is Mark Adams the coach of the year, the national coach of the year? Does he deserve that distinction? To me, if you're going to create a top five, I would go with Tommy Lloyd from Arizona. There's no way you can make this list without him. What he's done at AU is amazing. I forget it's AU. Another AU, Auburn. Auburn's Bruce Pearl has to be on this list, so Shepard and him. I would also go with Mark Few from Gonzaga. Definitely believe he's got to. The two front runners, in my opinion, I think Jeff Goodman said this, and I think they should be too, just from a matter of expectation standpoint. Ed Cooley at Providence. They have been spectacular this season, on track very much, I think, to win the Big East. I think it's kind of theirs to taking at this point in time. A great escape yesterday on the road against Butler. Mark Adams is the next guy. Now, they might finish third in the Big 12. There's a chance of that. But only people at Texas Tech, there were some people during the season, I have to admit, the Tech people thought, this team could be pretty good this year in basketball. But for them, kind of without a natural point guard, to show up and be this good, man, and they were so close to sweeping Kansas. But for them to be a top 10 team and definitely have the ability, I think at this point in time, safe to say, to win a national championship. It's pretty serious, the conversation about Mark Adams for Coach of the Year. One more quick word from our sponsors, and then we'll get to the rest of the results from this Saturday in Big 12 hoops. Today's show was brought to you by Built Bar. You go to Built.com today. That's Built.com. You can check out all of the Built Bars that they've got available right now. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. They've got flavors like mint brownie. They've got coconut almond, and new this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They're all delicious, and the new flavors are coming out all the time. If they think a flavor might be good, they'll make it. It'll be delicious, and it'll be good for you as well. Go to Built.com today. It's Built.com. Promo code LOCK15. LOCKED15 LOCK15 for 15% off your order today. Use promo code LOCK15 at Built.com today. All right, Baylor gets a win 72-62 over the TCU Horned Frogs. I still think TCU should be considered a tournament team at this point in time. This Baylor team was banged up. They did not have much. They only played 7 guys in this game. They really only played 6 guys. Sohan, Akinjo, Bonner, Meyer, Brown, and Thamba. No Adam Flagler in this game. No LJ Cryer in this game. Your leading scorer was Jeremy Sohan, who had 17, 6, 2, and 1. I'm a huge Sohan guy. This guy's got NBA potential. He needs to continue to play like this for them to win. TCU on a bit of a downturn right now. They're still okay. 16-8, 5-7. They've got Texas on the road. They are home for Texas Tech. They've got KU and KU West Virginia. So a rough road to hoe for them the rest of the way, but I still think they should be in okay shape if they can get roughly around 500 the rest of the way. Right now, Joe Lunardi still has them safely in the NCAA tournament as it sits right now. He has got them as a 10 seed. Well, it's safely enough, but a 10 seed. Last 4 buys, he has got Iowa State. He has got Oklahoma. So those 2 teams right now are not all the way out. Next 4 out, he's over there with Kansas State, Florida, Belmont, and Virginia Tech. So another one of our teams in Kansas State is right there. This was the 18th. It was last done. So we'll see what he comes out with here pretty soon on his bracketology. But right now, Big 12 teams on the move towards the bubble. Once again, though, for Baylor, what we were just talking about, they've got to get healthy. They've got to get healthy pretty quickly because it's amazing what they've done, 22-5, 10-4 in the Big 12, considering the lack of health they've had. But they need to get themselves in the right direction. Iowa State beats down Oklahoma 75-54. Got the Iowa State shirt on today. So shout out to the Clones. They needed to stop the bleeding pretty badly. They do so. Oklahoma goes to 14-13, 4-10 in the Big 12 Conference. It's new coach, same story for OU. Bubble life is good, I guess you could say, for the Big 12 because we inhabit it, but not good for OU. They're back and forth. Isaiah Brockington, 22 points in this game. He was efficient. He was on fire. They shot 67% from the floor, 53% from 3. They only shot 3 free throws at home and won this game. Impressive stuff from Iowa State. So getting to 18-9, 5-9 in conference. They were in last place. They're now getting themselves back in the right direction are the Iowa State Cyclones. They'll definitely be on the right side of the bubble right now, approaching 20 wins. Other bubble teams in action, Kansas State, taking the 82-79 loss against Oklahoma State. Avery Anderson's late 3 puts Oklahoma State past Kansas State. Look, I want to see Kansas State in the NCAA tournament. We have to give Mike Boynton his flowers. I was concerned very early in the season about the way this thing would go. I think a lot of us were. They took some really bad early losses. The way Mike Boynton has coached this team, considering the fact they cannot make the NCAA tournament, playing in the most difficult conference in America, I'm going to be 500, 6-8 in the conference, to have a win on the road against the number 1 team in the country then, Baylor Bears. They've been a treat to watch. Their effort level is fantastic. Their home court advantage has slipped a little bit, but still they protect, I think from a fan perspective, but they protect it so well as a team. Bryce Thompson has been awesome, 23 points for him. Avery Anderson goes for 20 points and 7 rebounds in this game as well. Tough, once again, Kansas State fought themselves all the way to the bubble. 4 of their starters getting double figures, but they actually didn't shoot that well. 4 for 16 for Pac, 4 for 13 for Noel, 5 for 13 for Smith, and 5 for 13 for Mike McGurl. Mark Smith, who's just a rebounding machine as a guard, goes for 15, 10, and 4 in this game. 14-12, 6-8 in the conference. They've got to start ripping off some more wins. They needed this Oklahoma State game. This was the game that would have given them 3 straight victories. It would have put them in a good position. They're on the road against Kansas tomorrow night on ESPN. That's going to be a difficult game for KU. You are not going to walk over this Kansas State team. Kansas State had KU dead to rights last time. Absolutely dead to rights they had them and let that thing slip away. That might be the loss that keeps Kansas State out of the Big 12 out of the NCAA tournament because of the ability for it to be such a quality win if they had gotten it. That's a quadrant 1 win, a top 10 win if they had gotten it. Last one, those Kansas Jayhawks, 71, West Virginia 58. Jayhawks look strong, a 13-point win for them on the road tonight. They didn't shoot great from three. It was Oshai Agbaji with 23 points. It was David McCormick with 19 and 11. It was Jalen Wilson with 10 and 11. He's starting to just have that all-around game begin to flourish. A really strong road win. West Virginia is firmly off the bubble now, 3-10 in the conference. They're going to need a huge run in the Big 12 tournament to get this thing done. But this was once again a strong win for KU, and they have almost sealed up the Big 12 championship in the regular season. What do we have on the docket for tonight? It is Big Monday, and you guys know what that means. That always means that we're going to get some Big 12 action. Well, we have got in the Big 12 Conference at 7 o'clock Central Time on ESPN+, West Virginia at TCU. It's a game TCU has to have. It's not a quadrant 1 game for them because West Virginia is coming to their house. Opportunity for them to get on the strong, kind of strengthen their bubble position, but 16-8, they're okay right now. That they'll be kind of 11 or 12. They can't lose this game. They have to win this basketball game, keep themselves, at least for right now, on the correct side of the bubble. Very interesting matchup here. A banged up Baylor at 8 o'clock on ESPN is going to go to Oklahoma State, who just got the big win against Kansas State. An opportunity for Oklahoma State to sweep Baylor. Wow, what an opportunity that would be. And also, if they'd win this game, and they had eligibility, Joe Lenardi's been talking about this, they would be in the NCAA tournament, I think. This would put them on the right side of the bubble. If they beat Baylor, I think, and it gave you a sweep of Baylor, that would put them on the correct side of the bubble. It's a whole lot better than the wins that a lot of the teams have that are also in the bubble. So I think this would be a win that would put them on the right side of things if they could get there, but still a lot in front of this Oklahoma State team. They can still accomplish a lot this season. Mike Boynton's group, once again, been an absolute treat to watch. All right, that will do it for the show today. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at LOBig12. You guys can follow me at JoshNeighbors_. Till next time, my friends, as always, stay safe.